What's up? It's 3 in the morning, and I just got back from seeing The Dark Knight Rises, representing with my, it's hard to see, but it's a Batman shirt. Um, it's gonna be a little hard for me to explain how I feel about this movie, about the whole trilogy, and all that. And I'm still processing it. I just got back. Um, so bear with me. I'm sure I'll say a thing or two, but cheers. It's over. It's weird. It's like, how do you talk about this? Like, it's for the last 7 years since Batman Begins, this has been the event movie to go to, is the new Christopher Nolan Batman movie. It really is. And all around, they've all been very good. And I'll put up front what I really want to get out, and then you could stick around and hear me kind of go through it. But I enjoyed The Dark Knight Rises quite a bit. I think it was a solid ending to this trilogy. I think it was about as good as you could do, given certain circumstances, especially Heath Ledger passing away and this and that, right? So I enjoyed it. It was fun. It's great to finally see it end. It's also kind of a little sad because you know, like this big chapter of your movie life is kind of over. I don't know if, you know, everybody feels about movies that way, but I know I do, and I know that there's a lot of people that do. It's kind of like Star Wars ending, or, you know, any big thing like that. It's like The Shield ending, or Breaking Bad when that ends. It's kind of sad to see it go, but you're happy you saw it. You know, you saw the whole complete story. You saw it through. And I'm sure they'll do another, you know, Batman in a couple of years. They'll reboot it again. But boy, I feel bad for whoever has to do it next, because Christopher Nolan set the bar extremely high. He turned these films... He turned this genre, you know, the comic book movie, the superhero movie, into something more. Into serious dramas. And he placed them in a world that seems very, very close to our own. And they're about something, you know? They're about the humans, the characters in it. They're about what it means to be a hero. You know, about sacrifice, about trying to, you know, counter the bad things in the world, such as that dick fuck in Colorado, which maybe I'll touch on that a little bit. But they're about something. This trilogy was a Batman film for adults with adult attention spans, people that don't just go to see movies and consume them as junk food, but real serious moviegoers that like a good story about characters. And that's what made them great, on top of so many other things, but that's what really made them special. And The Dark Knight Rises continues that. I have no problem with the dramatic elements in it. In all three films, I like the story, I like the characters, I like the world he creates, the sense of dread, and the sense of, you know, everything is corrupt and the system is fucked. But, you know, if there's good people out there that are willing to, you know, try to be a hero, then good things could come. Or you can at least hold back the, you know, impending fucking doom. I think that's what these films are about, really. Good versus evil, but in a very, you know, in a less comic booky way, in a way that's more complicated. But enough. I've gone on for 5 minutes already. Enough, bullshitting and beating around the bush. All right. I liked The Dark Knight Rises. It was a solid ending to the trilogy. There were lots of moments that I laughed. I went, "That's awesome." You know, generally satisfying. Here's the thing, though. It's my least favorite. I'm gonna come out and say it. You almost feel bad saying anything bad about these movies because he did a good job with them all. With The Dark Knight Rises as well. It's just my least favorite of the three. And I think my favorite is probably still The Dark Knight. I've rewatched all three of them recently, and Batman Begins blew me away. When I watched it again, I was like, man, this movie is still amazing. I forgot how good it was, and I was amazed by how many things that I forgot happened in it, like how many plot points I forgot and this and that. And I'll tell you what, I'm very happy I did rewatch Batman Begins because I would have been lost in some of this. Because this movie goes back to Batman Begins in a big way. Lots of things that, like, there's lots of moments that are flashbacks that are it's footage from Batman Begins. Very little to do with The Dark Knight. Joker's not mentioned at all. I mean, the state that the city's left in, well, we'll get into the story, but, Harvey Dent and stuff like that are important to the plot, but there's a lot of things that are from Batman Begins. So I guess that's one thing that you could say about it, is it kind of, like, they all kind of tie together. There's lots of things in this that call back to, The Dark Knight. It follows the story the way The Dark Knight ends. But a lot of it has to do with what, Batman Begins set up. Almost to the point where you could almost skip The Dark Knight in a way. That's not entirely true, but I mean, it's that much that, like, I'm having problems explaining how I feel. But anyways, here's the thing. The best way I could put it. When I left the theater after seeing The Dark Knight, I was pretty much breathless and just absolutely fucking blown away by how amazing it was. And that whole movie is just like this roller coaster ride. It's like a fucking... I remember the review I wrote when I first saw it. I was like, this is like, the whole movie is like a rocket taking off, and even at the end, it's still just fucking taking off. Like, and the final minute or so of The Dark Knight, where it's Gordon and Batman talking, and Batman's like, I'm going to take the fall for this. And then, Batman runs off, the police are chasing him. They cut to Gordon at Harvey Dent's funeral giving a speech, and then they also cut back to the scene that we're in, where Gordon's son is standing there, and he's like, "Why are they chasing him, Dad? He didn't do anything wrong." And he's like, "Because he could take it, because blah blah blah." He's a Dark Knight. He's whatever we need him to be. He's a Dark Knight, and the final shot is just him going on an on-ramp on the fucking bike, and it just cuts to black. Like, that last minute of The Dark Knight, and the film as a whole, really, it's about as damn perfect as you can get out of a movie, any movie. I mean, it's perfection. It really is. And I just remember leaving that movie and just so blown away, but just wanting to talk about it with everybody and wanting to just tell everybody about it. And I just want to take fucking people to the movie, like, you gotta see this. And that's the difference I'm getting at, is after seeing The Dark Knight Rises, I was happy. I was happy to finally see it end. I thought it was a solid ending. Generally happy thing. I'm generally satisfied. I'm not bitching, but I don't have that feeling, okay? So there ain't no way I'm going to sit here and lie to you or be dishonest with myself and be like, that was a great fucking ending, man. Holy shit, Nolan knocked it out of the park and this and that. He did about as good as he could. But the problem is he set the bar so high with one, this great origin story that set everything up with Batman Begins. Just great, really great film. When he first fucking starts using the Batmobile and he's tearing shit up, he's driving through fucking, driving right off the highway and shit, smashing shit, like, the hallucinations and then the whole story about how it's a man who's trying to get over the guilt of his parents being killed. He feels guilty about it, and he wants to right the wrongs, and he wants to somehow make up for it, like turning. Batman already had that. That was the setup, but just turning it into this an adult story. And then The Dark Knight was just this fucking roller coaster ride from start to finish, with fucking tour de force performance from Heath Ledger, just knocking it way out of the park. Just all around, The Dark Knight is just, it's almost flawless. It's very hard to find things to bitch about in it. There's little things you could pick on, the whole, he tapped into everyone's cell phones and he has sonar, oh, that's so unbelievable. Well, a guy, a billionaire in a fucking bat suit, how believable is that, It's about selling it to us, and he sells it for the most part. And it's just, I love The Dark Knight. I love Batman Begins after watching that again. And I like The Dark Knight Rises. I hate to report that it's not my favorite, and that I didn't just fucking spooge all over the screen as the credits started to roll. And just don't get me wrong on this. Don't get me wrong. I like The Dark Knight Rises. I liked it quite a bit, but it's just Nolan set the bar so high that I've been thinking for months now. I'm how is he ever gonna fucking? You can't top the Joker and just that final minute of The Dark Knight. You can't top it. That was, he captured fucking lightning in a bottle. He just. You're only gonna do that so many times in your life as an artist. And here, he had to figure out how to finish the story, how to finish the trilogy, and he did a good job. I don't know how much I've gone on for 12 minutes without really talking about anything, just about how I feel about these movies in general. And I love them. I love them all. I will happily own A Dark Knight Rises on Blu-ray one day, and I'll sit there one day and watch all three, and I'm sure I'll have a blast, and I'll probably at some point start to like them all equally. Because I'll tell you what, when I went back and watched Batman Begins, and then I watched The Dark Knight, one, I'd seen The Dark Knight so many times that it's kind of, you just seen it too much, you're used to it. But Batman Begins, I didn't really remember. And after watching that, I'm like, man, I don't know which one I like more. Batman Begins or The Dark Knight? I think The Dark Knight will always be, have that slight edge for me. Because it's just that middle slice of the trilogy where it's just chaos taking off. And this fucking, this hurricane that rolls into town. And the Joker's not explained. And he gives explanations that are just he gives multiple explanations. You want to know how I got these scars on my face? And he keeps giving, my dad was a drunk and a fiend. And I think Ledger plays a big part of making it special, but it's not just Ledger. Anyways, let's get down to The Dark Knight Rises. And obviously, this video is going to go long, and if you stick with it, I thank you, and really want to hear everyone else's thoughts on this. I really want to talk this movie to death. And I will go into more spoilers on Movie Dudes. I plan to talk with Chris, my co-host, and hopefully change our next episode into just a spoiler cast on it and just talk about all the little things. But anyways, Dark Knight Rises is 7 years after the end of The Dark Knight. And Batman's been... Well, there is no Batman. He's been turned into this villain. Bruce Wayne just is a shut-in. And the city's at peace. They passed the Harvey Dent Act, which gives the police more power. And they shut down organized crime. And it's, obviously there's still crimes that happen, but it's compared to most American cities, nowadays is not corrupt from top to bottom. But that whole piece is built on a lie. And the lie is that Harvey Dent was this hero and Batman was a lunatic and this and that. And that's where you start off. But then the police discover this whole kind of like underground city of fucking like an army of people led by Bane. And Bane is in town to fuck shit up. And so then the Batman has to come out of hiding. I'm trying not to spoil. I mean, there's definitely more details here. Batman has to come out of hiding. Batman has to come back. Both because they need, you know, his resources, like the things that only Bruce Wayne could afford, like these crazy experimental, you know, warfare, like the Batmobile, this, you know, in this one he has, I'm sure you've seen the trailer, he's the flying fucking thing. The Bat, they call it. But he also has to come back as a symbol of hope, as, you know, inspiration for people to fucking, you know, stand up to things that are wrong. And that's basically the plot. And you throw in a bunch of new characters. I think that kind of weighs down the first and the second act a little bit, is getting to know all these other people. But I'm happy they did, because I like my favorite performances in this one, and my favorite characters were, I don't know his name. I know his, well, I don't want to say too much, but Joseph Gordon-Levitt plays like this good cop in it, like an idealistic cop who's inspired by Batman. And in many ways, and I expected him to kind of be like the stand-in for the audience. Like, you go into it like he is, you put yourself in his shoes. You're like this kind of ordinary good person, just kind of seeing all these crazy things. And he kind of functions as that, but he's almost like the lead at some point. Like, he's in the movie a lot, and I really liked his character. And I really liked. I promise you, I'm not gonna spoil this movie. Maybe I'll do another video follow-up. Probably not tonight, but maybe I'll do another video where I just kind of spoil the shit out of it and talk about the little things in it. And I'll probably do it on Movie Dudes, so you might want to check that out. But I liked his character a lot. And I liked the twist. There's a twist with his character that I liked a lot. Also, surprisingly, I really love Selena Kyle, a.k.a. Catwoman, although they never call her Catwoman in this. She's just a cat burglar. Really like her character, and I really liked Anne Hathaway's performance, and I really, really liked her in that fucking outfit. So I don't know, it was like, I remember like a year ago when we first saw the leaked pictures of her as Catwoman, and we're like, what the fuck? It doesn't look like Catwoman. And you probably saw, like, you know, I think with me it was like I had this image of, you know, Michelle Pfeiffer, who was sexy as Catwoman in Batman, was it Batman Returns it was called? Where you're like, that's Catwoman, that's what she looks like. And I think that's what she looked like on the animated series and stuff. And here it was just like a little mask over her eyes. And you're like, what the fuck? It doesn't even look like her. But she looked goddamn sexy in that fucking outfit. I also like how she had like little cat ear things, but they pulled down, they were like goggles. That was cool. But beyond the fact that she was hot and the outfit was hot as fuck, and, you know, we should have trusted Nolan to begin with. I really liked her. You know, Catwoman's always been this complicated character where you don't know if she's a good person or a bad person. And Nolan really deals with that well here. Like, he does a really good job of, is she good, is she bad? She's kind of opportunistic. She's kind of in it for herself. But, you know, as Batman says at one point to her, I think there's more to you than that, you know. And I really like how Nolan kind of dug into that character. You could tell he really enjoyed her character. Though, you know, Joseph Gordon, I never expected to come out of this movie and be like, Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Anne Hathaway, you stole the film. You were the best parts. Tom Hardy as Bane, he did a great job. But the problem is, like, and Bane is a good villain. He's definitely a good villain. There's two problems with Bane, though. What I liked about Bane is he's brute force. He's, you know, a force to be reckoned with. He's and you know he's bringing terrorism to the city, much kind of like the Joker was, right? But the Joker was just doing it for fucking fun and kicks, and Bane really has an agenda, and he has a very smart. Like, he kind of starts like a class warfare thing in the city, where he kind of gives power and control to the people who have nothing, to the 99%. Like, there really is this whole kind of like Occupy fucking Wall Street element to it. You don't have to read too deeply in that, because then if you do, that's like, well, what is Nolan saying? That the, you know, people in the Occupy Wall Street movement are the bad guys? No, I don't think he's saying that. I think he's saying that Bane manipulates this class warfare element in politics the same way the media does to get people to do shit. That's what it was. If that makes any sense. So I liked all those elements about Bane, and he was a physical match for Bruce Wayne, and you know, and in this movie, Bruce Wayne he's retired. He's been gone for 7 years. He's beat to shit from the stuff that went down in the first two movies. He walks with a cane, and so to fight Bane, who's just pure fucking muscle, you know, it's gonna be a hard fight. But there's two problems with Bane. One is the mask over his face. I mean, Tom Hardy, he gives a great performance, but there's only so much you can do without your face is covered up. You know, how are you gonna give a performance? It's hard. You know, he's doing it all with his physicality and his eyes, and he does a great job because of that. But it's just kind of, you know. And the other problem is Heath Ledger. I mean, that guy was just a fucking. He gave one of the best performances ever as the Joker, and so, you know, going in, there's no way he's ever gonna fucking top the Joker, especially some guy with a mask over his face. So that's. I'm not complaining, and there's not much you can do about it. Bane's a good villain, but Heath Ledger's Joker was one of the best villains ever made. So it's a step down. It's a downgrade in a way. But I do like that, like, there is this kind of subtle difference where Bane has a real purpose to what he's doing. He's not just trying to prove a point. He's there to manipulate the whole city and fucking. He's there to destroy the city. That's the plot. Is he's there to fucking destroy Gotham. As he says in the trailer, when Gotham is ashes, you have my permission to die. Now, why is he doing that? There is a why. And you learn a lot more about Bane than you do about the Joker, which I think, in a way, kind of makes him less interesting than the Joker. Because the Joker is like, he keeps telling you these different stories about, you know, I got these scars. You know, like, man, this guy, he's out of nowhere. He's nothing. He's just there to fucking kill stuff. And Bane is just there to kill stuff, but there is a reason why Bane is doing what he's doing, and I'm not going to spoil it. But I will say, you really want to watch Batman Begins again before watching this film. You do. Because you're going to... If you don't remember Batman Begins that well, you're going to be a little bit lost about, you know, why exactly is Bane... Like, if I didn't watch Batman Begins again, I probably would have left the theater going, why did Bane want to destroy... I don't get it. Why did he want to destroy Gotham? And that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to spoil it beyond that. I will say that there is a twist near the end that I didn't like. I thought it was one twist too many, and you didn't need it. And I think people that saw the movie will know what I'm talking about. And there's a certain character who dies near the end, and it's kind of laughable. In fact, people did start laughing in the theater when this character dies, and this ties into the twist I'm talking about. I'm not spoiling shit. I'm telling you, I'm not spoiling anything. But there's a, you know how often in movies when someone is very badly wounded and they're about to die, they get to give like this final speech, to, like say what they're gonna say, and then they're like, and then they die. And these movies have been so above that when that happens, and it happens, people kind of laugh. They're like, "What the fuck, man? You're better than that." That's my one like groan-inducing moment out of The Dark Knight Rises was this little twist at the end. It was needed. I was happy with the whole story going along. I didn't need that extra twist. It kind of ruined some of it for me. It kind of changes the nature of Bane in a way. And I'm sorry if it seems like I'm kind of spoiling it, but I'm really trying not to. But you didn't need that final twist, and then the way this one character dies, that it ties into the twist. That's why I thought of it. The way this one character dies is laughable. What else can I say about this, man? This is going to be one of my longest videos, but I liked the relationship that develops between Selina Kyle and Bruce Wayne. I thought that stuff really worked. There is a moment involving Catwoman or Selina Kyle, whatever you want to call her, where people started clapping because it was pretty awesome. The part where shit starts blowing up was really great. There's a fight in it between, I mean, this is not a spoiler, dude. There's a fight between Batman and Bane that's really kind of just, it's weird to describe it, but I'm not going to totally describe it, but there's no music. It's like just, the whole movie has Hans Zimmer's score, which is amazing. I love his score in all three of these movies, but they just drop the score and him and Batman fight, and it's just like thud, thud, boom, and fucking, it's a brutal, kind of almost sad and downbeat and depressing fight. Really cool, really well done. There's a lot in this that like I just really, really liked. There is a twist near the end that I really loved, and anyone who's seen it, it's involving somebody that's in the final shot. I really love what they did with Alfred in this. I mean, he's always been really good in this, but the relationship between him and Bruce Wayne is more fleshed out and more brought, to a close. Like, a lot of this movie's about closure. It's just kind of like, how do we end this? And I like how it kind of turns into Gotham City at some point, kind of turns into this closed off kind of war zone where anything could happen, and the people who had no power suddenly have the power. I'm going to start wrapping this up. I mean, I kind of got out my feelings about it, but there's some good cameos. I don't know if you want to call them cameos so much as characters that you might be surprised to see. Like I said, there's a lot of callbacks to Batman Begins. You need to see Batman Begins again before you see this, and watch The Dark Knight as well. But if you remember how The Dark Knight ended and shit with Harvey Dent and this and that, you don't need to see The Dark Knight again, but you really do need to see Batman Begins again. And I don't know, I feel like I said a lot of what I wanted to say. I'm trying to think of what else is important and things that I've heard other people say. I heard other people say like, the beginning's kind of slow, the first half is slow, but then it picks up. It is kind of slow, yeah. But I didn't feel like that was, one of the problems with the film, really. It doesn't feel that long, and the parts that are slow were fine because I cared about the characters and what was happening to them. It wasn't like just boring bullshit where it's like, Bruce Wayne is going to like love interest shit and they're going out to dinner. And, it's nothing like that. It's always building the plot and going forward. It's slower near the beginning, but it's gonna go somewhere fucking cool. So, and you care about everything that's happening anyway. So that wasn't a problem for me. And really, I don't have a problem with any of this movie. I just didn't leave the theater feeling the same feeling that I felt after The Dark Knight. And I don't think it's because, like, oh, I'm older and I'm more jaded or anything like that. Because there's movies that I'll see this year that at the end of it, I'm like, whoa, like, that was amazing. Chronicle. Chronicle. The Gray. Although, The Gray upon maybe second viewing wasn't, the most amazing thing ever, but still, I mean, when I see a movie I really love, it's still the same now as it was a couple years ago. So it's nothing like that. It's just this one just doesn't fucking. It didn't just. I didn't leave the theater with that same feeling. I left the theater going, that was a good ending. That was good, I really like that. I like this. I like that. I was picking out everything. Well, that's Dark Knight. I was just like, holy shit. I just saw one of the best movies ever made, I just... So it's not like, I keep coming back to this. The Dark Knight Rises is not a bad movie by any means. It's a good movie. Some might say it's a great movie. I'd say it's a solid ending to a great trilogy. The best trilogy I've ever seen. So, take that as what you will. No, what else could I really say without getting into spoilers? It looked great, sounded great, great score, great performances. It definitely goes back to more story than... It's weird. It's like The Dark Knight in the middle is just like this dark roller coaster ride where it has a story, but it feels like Batman Begins and, on the two ends, that's where, like, the big portion of the story was. And the middle part is just this crazy ride. And I think when you take them all as a whole, this is the best trilogy ever made. By far the best superhero films ever made. I think that, it makes fucking... I know people love the Avengers. I enjoyed it quite a bit, but it makes that look like kid shit, which it is, compared to this. This is something way more significant, something... worth talking about for 30 minutes or whatever. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. I liked it. Right, I liked The Dark Knight Rises. Of course, you have to go see it. You've probably already seen it, but if you're into the first two movies at all, of course you're gonna go see it. And you'll only be disappointed if you expect to leave the theater feeling the way you felt after The Dark Knight. Which I didn't expect it to feel that. Like, I was kind of worried going in that maybe he fucked it up or whatever, I can report that Christopher Nolan did not fuck it up. He did a good job. Just go in expecting a good, fun ending. Don't go in expecting this life-changing, like, oh my god, this is one of the best movies ever made. You got that once already out of this trilogy. Just enjoy the ride. Enjoy the way it's going to end. And or not. Maybe you'll hate it. I don't know. But I doubt you'd hate it. There's not a lot to hate about it. Unless, like, I know some critics were like, oh, it's too depressing. It's a gloomy movie. Or I can't think of the word. Whatever. But yeah, I guess. But, it has its moments of hope. And I wouldn't say that the other two movies were particularly, sunny and cheery and life is great. No, the whole thing about all these movies is it's about how the fucking world is really, really fucked up. And the best you could do is try to fight that in small ways. Or big ways. The biggest way you can, Not to just sit back and just go, oh, the world's fucked. So I don't know. It's hard to get this all out, and I don't know exactly what I want to say, but I fucking love Batman, motherfucker. I love this trilogy. The last one was not, it was my least favorite, but I'm fucking happy they made it. I'm happy Christopher Nolan didn't fuck it up. I enjoyed myself. I had a good time. Like I said, I was laughing. I was looking at the fucking dude sitting next to me going, yeah, that was fucking awesome, you know? I had a good time. I just didn't walk out of there going, wow, I need to tell everyone to see this right now. You're gonna see it anyways. And I think you're gonna generally be happy unless you expect your fucking hair to blow back and you go bald like me and shit. So anyways, long rambling thoughts on The Dark Knight Rises. It's just one of those things where you just kind of want to. Probably when the Breaking Bad ends, I'll probably do a video this long about that, where I'm just like saying nothing but saying what's in my heart, man. You know. And I did say I would touch on the whole Colorado thing, and you know, what do I think about that? I think it's fucked. I think the guys. What am I gonna say? Adam said, "Oh, I feel bad for the people. That sucks." Yeah, I do. You know, condolences to everyone out there. I hope that community heals. You know, they deserve all the support. But just thinking about it, there's something really disturbing about that guy, and it's kind of shitty that I'm letting him end this video for me in a way, but so be it. I mean, there's something really kind of scary about this guy. A lot of these people that do these mass shootings, they kind of get a gun and just kind of go do it, and they, you know, because they snap, they have mental issues. They get Jared Loeffner. If you look, he had YouTube videos up, and they were clearly the work of someone that was seriously mentally ill. And this Holmes guy, I don't think he is mentally ill. I think he's, if there's a such thing as evil, I think he's it. He planned this shit over the course of like a year. He went in with full riot gear. You know, he bought the guns and this and that. He planned it out. He rigged his apartment to blow up. He set it up so that techno music started playing at midnight, and if any of his neighbors would have opened the door, it would have killed them. And there's something really disturbing about that. And then he like times it so he comes out, so like right when the action's kind of starting in the movie, he fucking comes out, throws the tear gas or whatever, and people think it's part of the show. Which, you know, what would you think? Someone walks in, like, you're like, oh, this is like the theater wants to like make it a memorable thing, so you'll fucking tweet about it or whatever. And then he fucking commits one of the worst mass murders in history of the United States, and then he waits for the cops to come, and he's like, here I am, arrest me. By the way, there's a bomb in my apartment, so that might blow up. And I guess, I mean, I don't know, I haven't followed up on his stuff, but I know I heard one report that he had dyed his hair red. And I know for a fact that he told them that he was the Joker and this and that. And then the fucked up thing, the thing that sticks with me through all this, like I guess the main thing I could say different from what a lot of everyone else is just going to say, this guy's a maniac, and I don't think he's a maniac. I think like I said, if there's a such thing as evil, he is it. He maybe, you know, he wants people to call him the Joker. Well, maybe he is. Maybe, I mean, the Joker was insane, but the thing the fucked up thing is when they went to his mom, and they're like, you know, do you think that might be your son that was the one that did that? And she's like, yeah, it probably was. And the thing I thought of, I remember hearing it on the radio, that she had said that on the way home from work, and I was like, we need to talk about Kevin. Which is a movie I did just review on here. I think I reviewed it twice, because I did a really long rambling like this version of it, and then a shorter one. And it made me think of that movie because that movie was about this evil fucking kid who just tortures his mom from the day he was born, and then he does do a mass killing. And the mom knows in her heart that he was capable of doing that all along. Like she knew somewhere deep down that that's where his life was going, and then this same sort of thing happens. So that's what it makes me think of. Is like this guy, this Holmes fuck face, is basically the fucking Kevin from We Need to Talk About Kevin. Most likely. I mean, if the mom was that willing to just be like, yeah, he probably did do that. You want to call him insane, that's an easy way to write things off. He's insane. The dude was going for his PhD in neuroscience. He's a fucking brain doctor, dude. He wasn't stupid. And they said he was a brilliant student before he dropped out. And you might say, well, he dropped out, so he's a dropout. Well, he was a brilliant fucking, graduate that was studying neuroscience. So it's easy to just write it out, oh, this guy's crazy and this and that. You know what he is? He's a fucking asshole. He's scum of fucking earth. And he thinks he's the fucking Joker. If I was a cop out there, if I was a cop in Aurora, Colorado, I'd walk into the interrogation room dressed as fucking Batman. I'd prop a chair against the door and go, so you think you're the fucking Joker? And I'd beat the living fuck out of him. And no one would send me to jail. I'd be a fucking hero of the community for beating the fuck out of this guy. I really would. I really would love to do that if I was a cop out there. Just go in as Batman. Yo, you're the Joker? Hi, I'm Batman. Bitch. Killed a little girl. I don't know. These fucking mass shooting motherfuckers. Usually with like Jared Locker, I kind of understand it. Like that guy, he had very serious mental issues, and no one helped him. But this guy, he's just smart. He sat there, he planned it. How am I going to make myself famous and, art history, and I'm going to go do this? I'm going to be a celebrity. And he's a fucking piece of shit. And that's all I got to say about that, I guess. And I won't get political about it, but of course it will. And, whether there should be guns and this and that. Honestly, this guy would have found a way to do it one way or another. And I say that as a liberal, so have your guns if you want them. I don't think guns should be readily available. Especially not AR-15s or whatever the fuck he had that no one on Earth needs to hunt or protect themselves. But he would have found a way anyways. So, not to end on a down note, but the guy's a fuck. Heart goes out to the people in Aurora, Colorado, and the people in that theater. And on like a selfish note, it's kind of shitty that this guy ruined the opening weekend when everyone should just be kind of talking about the movie. And instead, on Friday, everyone was talking about this guy. Fuck him. He doesn't deserve it. But here I am talking about it. So, anyways, so yeah, that's I guess my thoughts on everything today. But overall, I mean, I don't think you'll be disappointed in The Dark Knight Rises. I don't think you will be disappointed, and I wasn't disappointed. I was just not as blown away as the first two. But what can you do, man? How do you top The Dark Knight? How do you top that awesome origin story in Batman Begins? You can't. You just gotta find a way to wrap it up in as epic a fashion as possible, and I think Christopher Nolan did that. So, rating? 4 out of 5. Thanks for watching. We'll just continue discussion down here.